So Auracast is long anticipated. It's been spoken about for a couple of years now. There's been lots of excitement about it, and we believe that it will, when it finally arrives, be an amazing breakthrough. It is already live in many key public spaces across the UK, with a lot more coming. It makes listening easier, it makes it more immersive, it's more enjoyable in shared spaces and also at live events. I qualified circa 1980, when loop systems were already quite well established. Surprisingly, perhaps, these systems were introduced nearly 90 years ago, and they haven't actually changed very much since. Loop systems rely on the user positioning themselves within a predetermined magnetic field. And typically, loop systems were for speech, but they could be problematic and often required a separate neck loop. Auracast, however, is delivered as a broadcast, which can be picked up by anyone that has access to this. You select which broadcast you'd like to listen to, wherever you are and whenever you want, with phenomenal sound quality. I want to just introduce Ella Reville. She works for Ampetronic. She's a regional sales executive, and Ampetronic are manufacturers and distributors and experts in Auracast products. Thank you, Ella.
Thank you so much, Adam. Yes, hello everyone. I'm here on behalf of Ampetronic and Listen Technologies. Ampetronic and Listen were the first to market with a Auracast assistive listening grade Auracast transmitter. So essentially what our technology does, we create assistive listening solutions. So our products complement hearing aid solutions which Adam and Cubex provide. So we basically create the system so that you guys can hear the audio within the environments that you go into. So I've got a couple of slides just to go through, just to give you a bit more information about Auracast, and a short clip just to show you the comparison of current assistive listening technology using an induction loop compared to the audio quality of Auracast. So what I will do, I will just share my screen with you. Good to see that now, guys. Is that okay?
That's
Yep.
perfect. Thanks.
Okay, right then. So we'll run through the slides for you guys. So as I've already stated, I'm here from Ampetronic and Listen. So we'll just go into the next slide. Oh, apologies. Let me zoom back out. Right, here we go. So what is Auracast? So essentially, Auracast is a new standard for broadcast audio. So it's a true range broadcast, one to any within a range. So with Auracast, as you can see from the graphic on the right-hand side of the slide, there is a Auracast transmitter located on the wall just here. So it's in clear line of sight. And as Adam stated, you're able to access the audio directly to a Auracast-enabled hearing aid or Auracast-enabled earbuds or over-ear headphones. So the range that we'd be looking at, so it can cover, on the box, we say about 100 meters of coverage, but we have seen cases where an Auracast transmitter can cover vaster spaces. So one of my colleagues went to St. James's Park football stadium, had a single transmitter and stood in the middle of the football pitch. And in an empty stadium, I will state it was empty, we covered the entire stadium from the top seats all the way down to the close seats closer to the pitch. So the kind of options with Auracast in covering spaces, it's vast. We can cover smaller spaces like consultant rooms within an audiology clinic so that people can experience the technology when trying out new hearing aids, all the way to cinemas and arenas and places like that. It's optimized using the low latency audio standard, so it's using low energy from Bluetooth. So the battery life on these technologies will last considerably longer than classic Bluetooth, as it is just a one-way broadcast. It's not a two-way pairing like classic Bluetooth is at the moment. there is no bespoke app required. So a lot of consumer devices, so newer smartphones, such as Samsung, Google, and Sony Android devices at the moment, they support Auracast as a native functionality. Now, a native functionality means essentially it's already within the phone settings itself. The only people who haven't adopted it as of yet are Apple. We are aware that they know about the technology. They are closely keeping an eye on what is happening within this space. And it is something that they will introduce hopefully within the next year or two. So we'll start to see Apple hopefully bring that into their product range. The standard that's been set with Auracast is eventually you're going to see changing throughout devices. So we currently operate on a classic Bluetooth with a two-way pairing. We'll start to see that gradual change where Auracast will be, if not as well known as Bluetooth as we know it today. And there's an increased amount of hearing aids that are coming into the market that support Auracast technology. So at the moment, we work closely with a manufacturer called GN. They were the first to market with an Auracast hearing aid, but there are other players in the space as well, such as Oticon and other hearing aid manufacturers who have Auracast ready hearing aids and will launch their products later this year, if not next year, such as Phonak and Widex, for example. I'll just pop into the next slide. So I thought this would be beneficial to the people who are on the session today, is to understand what the signage will look like. We're very familiar with what current induction loop signage looks like. So for Auracast, this is a signage that we deliver to venues that have Auracast installed. It's very similar to an induction loop signage, but you will notice in the bottom right-hand corner of the signage, there is the Auracast symbol. We encourage venues to make sure that they display these signs clearly so that people who attend different venues know that there is an Auracast stream available within that space. And as you can see, also on the poster, there is a QR code. So a way of accessing an Auracast broadcast can be scanning a QR code by scanning a QR code. To make the process a lot more simpler and a lot more easy for people like yourselves. Now, this is a roadmap to the technology. As I can appreciate, I'm sure everyone's heard of new innovative technologies that come into the space, and we tend to see that there isn't much longevity in some of these new technologies, but hopefully seeing the roadmap here today, it will build your confidence in seeing that Auracast really is here to stay. So I'll just quickly go back. So in 2013, specifications started with hearing aid manufacturers and the Bluetooth SIG. And the Bluetooth SIG is the Bluetooth Special Interest Group. So talks were happening about Auracast way back in 2013. So this technology has been in long development, 10 years plus. In 2022, low energy audio and Auracast specifications were defined. So there was a set standard ready for it to be implemented into product lines. In 2023, the first Auracast products were announced. As I stated at the beginning, Ampetronic and Listen were the first company to release an Auracast ready product. And in 2024, products were starting to launch, and early adoptions with dedicated receivers were coming into the space. As we can see now, so covering 2025 to 2027, gradual adoption in hearing aids, headphones, and Android devices, hopefully iOS by the end of 2027, and other devices driven by the extension and standards of an established technology like Auracast. So we will really start to see more of a shift this year in 2026 and 2027, with more devices having Auracast as a functionality. Looking into the future, so in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll start to see Auracast expanding into transcendent places, service points, public transport vehicles. So last year, there was a trial in the UK, the first of its kind, of having Auracast installed in a public transport setting. So we're starting to see people like Network Rail, people in government are really listening to the advice that we are providing them and showing them the benefits of this technology. And then looking more into the future, 5 to 7 years plus, Auracast will be a fully established standard of assistive listening technology. So we'll start to see more hearing aids supporting Auracast within the NHS. We are aware that hopefully in the next coming years, there will be Auracast-enabled hearing aids on the NHS, and we're starting to see them more in private audiology clinics as well. A lot of people are really buying into the Auracast hearing aid space. And then I'll just click onto the next slide. So here are a list of Auracast receivers. So there is a link, I can share this with all you guys who've attended today. And what this link does, it will show you all the readily available products that support Auracast. This ranges from hearing aids to dedicated receivers, to earbuds, and also to devices you can use at home. So Auracast isn't just for commercial spaces, it can be used in your home. So certain TV makes support Auracast, so you're able to access the audio from your TV via Auracast. At-home speakers, it's going to be intertwined within every day-to-day life. So I'm more than happy to share that link with everyone at the end. And here we've just got a list of a few names who have devices out. So as I mentioned earlier, GN Hearing, Starkey and Oticon are the hearing aid manufacturers that support Auracast at the moment, along with some other consumer devices. So your Android devices like Samsung, Sony, JBL and Sennheiser, who support it with their earbuds and over-ear headphones. And we have our own dedicated AURI receiver that enables people to access an Auracast audio as well. The brilliant thing about a Auracast receiver is for those of you that have a telecoil-enabled hearing aid and are quite happy with their hearing aid and there's no need for you to change it as of yet. These receivers work where you can use an induction loop, a neck loop, attached to the receiver so you can access the audio that way. So we do encourage venues to cover at least 10% full capacity with a dedicated receiver, so everyone has the option to access the Auracast audio within that space. And these are just a few real-world Auracast locations that we have installed an AURI transmitter. So one of the very first was the Contact Theatre in Manchester, the Everyman Theatre in Gloucestershire, higher educational venues like the Creative Computing Institute at the University of Arts in London. And as I mentioned earlier, we did a trial within public transport, and that was held at Bristol Temple Meads train station. And there are many more venues and spaces jumping onto this Auracast technology. One that I can mention to you guys is that View Cinema. They are looking to roll out Auracast across their screens across the UK. They have covered around 30 venues at this moment in time and looking to continue more as the year goes on. And then finally, just to kind of answer probably a few questions that you may have, is Auracast the future of assistive listening? Eventually, but it will take time. So Auracast, although it is readily available to people, there is going to be a gradual change in assistive listening technology. So at the moment, we have induction loop systems, which work, and as Adam has pointed out, has been used for many years. We see a coexistence between both technologies during this transition period. So we still advocate when we go to venues to provide assistive listening for people who have the solutions to access audio via an induction loop, for example, and also other solutions like infrared, audio over Wi-Fi. So we do encourage venues to cater for that, but we will start to see over the next 5 to 7 years a gradual change where Auracast will start to take over the assistive listening space. And yeah, just a nice quote here. The coexistence of Auracast broadcast audio and existing assistive listening solutions is critical for. That's all I have to show you right now. Is there anything from yourself, Adam, that you wanted to add?
I think just a few comments at the end, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks very much, Ella. Sorry for the technical difficulties on the
It's
audio,
all right.
but hopefully everyone will receive it in their inbox and they can look at it at their leisure, which is probably a better way to do it anyway. But thanks for trying. I think just just a little recap, if I may, just to start
Of
with,
course.
and then a couple of questions. Auracast, or a couple of comments. Auracast will provide high quality and freely accessible broadcasts for all, including hearing aid wearers. And this is why it's so important, because if it was just dedicated to hearing aid wearers, then it might be even longer in coming. But it is going to be an established protocol for everybody. It's compatible with some Bluetooth earbuds already. I noticed you showing some JBL ones earlier. It's compatible with certain headphones. And Sennheiser, by the way, are also owned by the same group as Phonak and Unitron, which I think is a very good sign that this is definitely coming. And it will be an integrated feature in home equipment, including televisions and other devices as well. So it's definitely on its way to us. And there is already an infrastructure, and this is growing very, very quickly. I know you mentioned View cinemas. I believe they're rolling it out to 150 cinemas
Yeah.
over the next few months, which is very exciting. Perhaps some early challenges, which you may wish to comment on, but I think I have most of the information here. So, although Auracast is currently compatible with some Bluetooth earbuds and some hearing aid systems, it currently only has native compatibility. So that's something within the infrastructure of mobile phones, and only has native compatibility with Samsung, Google, and Sony smartphones, which means that anyone using these can already receive Auracast if the phones are connected to their hearing aids. But it's not yet directly compatible with Apple, as you referred to earlier. But we know Apple, they like doing things their own way, but it will
They
come,
do.
I'm sure. But some hearing aid manufacturers have kind of jumped on this and they've actually designed Auracast accessibility. So even though your phone may be an Apple phone, it may be not, there might well be accessibility. In fact, I'm sure there will be in the very near future. And this will be done via the app. So Phonak, Oticon, Widex all have their own applications. And some have actually embedded Auracast into that application.
Yes.
So people like GN that you referred to earlier on, Starkey, another manufacturer, and Oticon, of course, I know a lot of people watching this are using Oticon hearing aids. So that would be good news. And that is already there for current hearing aids in their most recent app. So you already have access to Auracast. Widex, another very large manufacturer of hearing aids, are Auracast ready, but we're waiting for a firmware update. So that's on its way. And as I mentioned, Sonova are the largest global manufacturer of hearing aids in the world, including Phonak, Unitron, and Sennheiser. And what they say is, I got a few comments from them the other day. They said they're fully on board with the development of Auracast and Bluetooth LE. They agree that this will be a massive improvement with accessibility for all. And they've just said, watch this space, but it's definitely on its way. With an indeterminate timeline, admittedly, but it's on its way. What we're going to be doing here is we do have a demonstration week, an Auracast demo week, and that's going to be fairly open to anyone attending on the 16th to 20th of March, or just pop in anytime between 11 and 4. And every day, and we'll actually have this running, and someone will be able to demonstrate it to you. But as I said earlier, it may not be integrated or compatible with your hearing aid yet. But even there, we can demonstrate this using headphones or using a neck loop to hearing aids that have a loop, or just chat to you about it in a bit more detail. I was also going to ask anyone here if they have any brief questions, but please make these Auracast specific. Otherwise, we can go down that rabbit hole, which might lead to things that are not relevant. So Auracast specific, please. Does anyone have any questions? So, Dominic, I can see your face. Oh, there we go. Microphone on, please. Yes.
So yes, the interesting thing for me is how quickly this might roll out to significant venues. And I'm thinking particularly in the context of my work, conference centres and places like that. Is there any information about how quickly major venues, I take the Queen Elizabeth Conference Centre in Westminster as an example, because whilst the View Cinemas is a great development, there are lots of other places where this could be a real game changer. Any information?
Yes, so great question, Dominic, I will say. So yeah, there are multiple other venues that do have Auracast installed. Some of them we can't disclose because of non-disclosure agreements we have with venues at the moment, with it still being a relatively new technology. But what we do really push for with venues, as I showed on the locations there, there is a page on Bluetooth website where you can list your venue as an Auracast venue. I can get all these links, and I'm sure the guys will collate a lovely information pack sort of email where we can send everything across. With it still being a relatively new technology, it's not installed in the majority of venues, but the more and more venues that are installing it and who make a real big point of that they are future-proofing their spaces. So one of them, for example, I think that's a really brilliant one, is Oxford University. We've installed Auracast solutions in over 100 rooms across the university campus. And off the back of that, other higher educational spaces are going, oh, what's this? We want to know what this is. So when you get really influential venues and places that really are kind of cemented on the map and really have a place and people know these locations, it gets more and more people asking the question. So there is a lot more venues out there that support Auracast than what are listed, I will say, but that is something as a Auracast transmitter provider, we are really pushing for venues to make sure that people know that this technology is available within these spaces. So the best I can say at the moment is that we are really fighting the fight in making these venues make people aware. But it's something that is a kind of a steady kind of plan that we've got going on for the next couple of years. So hopefully we'll start to see more and more well-known venues like Westminster using Auracast technology in their rooms and in their spaces.
Thank you.
That's okay.
And I think because it is a broadcast, you can have multiple broadcasts simultaneously, and you'll be able to see on your phone which broadcast you would like to join. So would that be an airport, a railway station? You can actually log into a particular broadcast and hear exactly what's going on for you, the things that you're interested in. And as you said, at Oxford University, there'll be multiple broadcasts simultaneously, and you can just jump on whichever broadcast is appropriate. And I think in the longer term, we'll probably see this in retail as well, as you go to different venues, different shops, different locations. Certainly in exhibitions, art galleries, as you move through the different displays, you'll be able to jump onto the relevant broadcast. It will just be clearly displayed on your phone. I think there are QR codes as well, so you'll be able to access the broadcast using a QR code. So it should be very, very simple to just jump on and hopefully enjoy the broadcast.
Could I ask a supplementary then? Because you've got into an area, I mean, this is fascinating, because if you've got essentially multiple channels, does this imply it can be used in relation to simultaneous translation in a venue?
So yes, one of the we are working alongside other companies that do automatic language translation. So yes, Auracast, especially, I mean, talking from a product point of view of AURI, we do say that you could use one channel for purely for audio for assistive listening purposes, and then the other channel could be used to translate languages. So there is software available where it can translate into languages. So yeah, that is an option.
Well, so just the point about that is an awful lot of the people that I have at a major conference who want to listen in different languages also have hearing aids. And so it would be assistive as far as they're concerned. No, thank you for that.
That's okay.
Leonard, did you have a question? I see that you're on screen there.
Bye, Leonard.
Hi, thank you for a very good presentation. I had one question to ask about the hearing aid side of it rather than the Auracast. How can I tell if my quite recent Oticon device is Auracast compatible? Because there's nothing about it in the Oticon app. And if it is not compatible, does it have to be replaced or can it be converted? So this is probably more a question for Adam, really, I think.
Yeah, and it's a very good question, Len. I think, are you using intent devices? I can't look at that record at the moment. I think you are.
Yeah,
No,
maybe.
no, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Okay, well, I can communicate with you after. Certainly, if they are intent, which I think they are, there is a firmware upgrade that we can do on the hearing aids. And then with the Oticon app, yes, you will be able to access it. It's actually straight in the app, front page. You go to extra or more, tap on there, and you'll see Auracast. You'll be able to jump onto any broadcast. But I'll confirm that with you after this.
Okay.
If not, then it just leaves me to thank you all very much for attending today's briefing. And it's all very much work in development, but it's very exciting and we're looking forward to it. And if you'd like to come along and have it demonstrated to you, we'll do our best to do so with the system that we have here. If you have any further questions or you'd like to book an appointment, then you can do so in the normal way. That's using customer services at thewellbeingbycubex.com or host@thewellbeingbycubex.com. And as always, this session has been recorded. You can access it on request and may well receive that in your inbox as well. That'll be down to our team at Grand Central, but something I'm sure will be organised for you. So I don't have anything else. Thank you all very, very much for attending. Really appreciate your time.